Okay, day 203, this is part one. I'm so glad I did that last video at 11 o'clock last night because I got so much research. I woke up to so much great research this morning around the BlackBerry issue. If you didn't see the issue or the series, we talked about the use of BlackBerries all along the way in the rat lines. So John Podesta being a big BlackBerry user. We still don't know if Andrew McCabe is. We know they're very, very good friends. I still am staying with my original theory that Podesta basically ordered up surveillance through McCabe ever since 1990, I want to say 1997, when Bill Clinton got in trouble with the impeachment. So I think that's how far back the Podesta to McCabe connection goes. Somebody also noticed the cap BlackBerry, a phrase called cap BlackBerry. Now, everyone immediately went to Capital BlackBerries. Are those secure phones that are done by the Awans, that are doped by the Awans? That was my initial thought. Somebody else thought, well, wait, that's Center of American Progress, that's John Podesta. Is Cap BlackBerry a shorthand for John Podesta? So that could be very well the case. So I think this is going in the right direction. This PR underscore RIM is the phrase to search for message IDs. Someone else found the schedule for August 2nd for Hillary Clinton for that key 2010 Pakistani floods meeting. And then the other bookend was kind of August the 6th, which was the Friday. So the 2nd is the Monday, the 6th is the Friday, where Hillary asked for the list of people that came to the Pakistani floods press event. And Philippe Reines is the one who sends it to her, and they want her to print that out. And they put it in folder 3. So it's interesting that they're choosing for press people and following up on press people, they're choosing folder 3. Philippe Reines is in charge of that. For Justin Cooper and secure phones and Bill Clinton, they're choosing folder 5. So we still don't know what folder 1 and 2 was, if that was Obama and Biden. And Kerry's 4, or if this phone was for Kerry, or if this phone was for Rajiv Shah. We don't know any of those things yet, but we do have some metadata on folder 3 and folder 5. And if you search for that PR underscore RIM, I believe that's correct, PRRIM underscore RIM, that's where you're going to find all those emails that have BlackBerry switch settings. Again, Philippe Reines decides to send BlackBerry switch settings to Hillary for filing the follow-up on all the reporters, that went to the Pakistani flood coverage. So I think, Hillary kind of thinks of it in like a week chunk. Like this week we're going to do Pakistani floods and the whole operation. We're going to start on Monday, we're going to end on Friday, we're going to wrap it all up on Friday and see. The final stage is kind of like doing a naughty and nice list for the press. Now I don't know if folder 3 is the Seth Rich folder or not, for the press who didn't write the kind of story that I wanted, or the Michael Hastings file, who knows. But anyway, the first bookend, on the 2nd, Hillary flies from New York down to Washington, D.C. just for an hour. And then she's on the tarmac only 12 minutes and then flies back to New York on the 2nd. So this is where the phone is being prepared, and Huma is trying to race from Washington, D.C. to get it out to the airport. And I think they go to Reagan Airport. And she's there for 12 minutes. Now, as I said before, I believe the phone is a token for access to Hillary's emails. And I believe when she flies from New York, she flies from LaGuardia in this case, I believe, the northern airport in New York. I believe she's using the plane as kind of a conference. This goes back to the Bill and Loretta Lynch. When I'm on the plane, I've swept the plane. I know the plane is a good skiff area, and therefore I know I can have private conversations there. Anything else, going to any other kind of environment, meetings in office rooms and so forth, is a risk. So lack of footprints, the plane is actually a great place to be because it's been swept. So she flies down there. Electronically swept is what I mean, not wiped like a server with a cloth. She flies down there for 12 minutes, and I think she gets on the plane with somebody. It's a private plane, I believe, and it's going to be somebody from New York, somebody who's got some kind of financial interest in this Pakistani floods thing. And I believe she's going to get the phone. She's going to give the phone to the person. So she's going to have an hour conference, or an hour and 12-minute flight conference with the person there, and an hour and 12 minutes back. So it'd be interesting to see if there's a passenger list or any metadata around that. That's going to be what I call the tee-up. That's going to tell you who benefits cui bono. The people who flew down there are going to be the ones who benefit. And then the USAID comes out, and those are going to be they're going to be letting out the money for the contractors. So I don't know if there's a brokering going on of different recovery companies or different security companies, DynCorp, writing up a police contract for the flood situation. It's hard to say. But then on the 3rd, it's all the meetings with Rajiv Shah, and then I think John Kerry comes in from Foreign Affairs to see how they're going to react. So that's interesting. The other thing that came about, and what's great about doing this metadata, is the Kosovo. Somebody sent me all this missing email from the Clinton administration for Kosovo, and that was from 96 to 99, and they named out Podesta again, Cheryl Mills again, Paul Begala again, Bruce Lindsay, the lawyer, again. And I just quickly went through it. I said, oh, this is easy. This is Kosovo. This is, you got Podesta for the arranging organ donations. You fly to Kosovo, we'll get you the kidney you need with a Turkish doctor. Sort of like that Fleischer email. And then we've got Begala to do the spin, the press spin, and we've got Lindsay to claim attorney-client privilege for harboring the laptops and thumb drives when it's all over, just like every operation is. So it's just kind of almost, the metadata almost tells the story, because there was the Kosovo floods. It kind of is reminiscent of the earthquake in Haiti, but also there is an earthquake later in Pakistan, I think in 2005. I think that was the precedent, actually. And again, with a peaceful nuclear explosion, you can create an earthquake. So it's just like floods are great because all you have to do is break the dam and you create the flood. And then if you've been smart enough to go steal the farmer's land in the low areas, then when the flood happens, you're lined up for USAID funding. This is the Bowl of Huggies scenario. For people who don't watch the series, the Bowl of Huggies it's actually Yugi, I think, but it's the area where Imran, Awan's father, stole the land from the 12 farmers in Pakistan, and then he had his partner killed in a car accident. And it was called the Bowl of YHUGI, and so I called it the Bowl of Huggies. But let's just call it the Bowl of Farmers. You steal the land in a low spot. This is where Soraya Begum's analysis of floods comes in and becomes so important. She's written several seminal works on using satellites to analyze where floods occur. So you basically study the geological maps. You crack the dam floods. You get the USAID. It sets up your rat line for all your other businesses. So that's kind of like your seed money to get your operation started. You get the organ harvesting going at the yellow houses. You get the rat line with the kids going to the Middle East. You get the drugs going one way or the other, who knows, to sell to the UN soldiers, and away you go to the DynCorp folks. So all that came out of that. And then one of the interesting things about Kosovo, looking at it, was the incredibly fast response. Everybody seems like as soon as the flood happened, there's this incredible response. And I think you're going to find the same thing with the Pakistan floods. I don't know exactly when that happened, when the dike broke. Sort of reminds you of Hurricane Sandy, when the dike breaks on 13th Street. That reminded me of Seth Rich somehow, because I remember the police got to Seth Rich's to that corner where he's crawling on his hands and knees, being shot in the back 3 times, and he gets to the hospital in 1 minute. The 4 motorcycle police in that northeast section of Washington, D.C. are there in 1 minute. And I started thinking about this and going, okay, wait a minute. Hillary knows that there's a leak through the DNC leaks, but she doesn't know who did it or who he gave the information to. At 2 o'clock, he was seen kind of drunk leaving a bar, but there's nothing to explain what he did from 2 o'clock to 4:20. That's when I thought, oh, he went into his car, or he was starting to walk home. He got invited into a car somehow got gassed. Then they gave him the propofol. They asked him the questions. He didn't remember it. That's why they had to wake him up at 4:20, and that's why they brought the parents to the hospital. They had to, and had him call his girlfriend. They had to establish that first of all, he's not going to remember the interrogation. He's not going to remember he gave the thumb drive to the British ambassador in Lafayette Park. The British ambassador then gives it to Jones, the lawyer for WikiLeaks in London, gives it on to Gavin McFadden, establishes the whole rat line of how he gave the information to WikiLeaks. So they had to know that information. No intelligence officer is going to kill him and not get that information out of him. So that's the key to the Seth Rich case. So it's just funny how this kind of a bowling pin chain reaction here, when somebody starts with, hey, what does Cap BlackBerry mean? And it clears about 10 bowling pins when you start using metadata and you look at modus operandi. I know that's long and it's convoluted and it's complex, but if you watch the series, people who do watch the series know what I'm talking about, and all the pieces start fitting together. I do think, going back to the recapping on Podesta, I do think now the Cap BlackBerry is Podesta. Either that or it's a group list of Tom Nitis, Neera Tanden, and John Podesta as one kind of BlackBerry group. So that's CAP Podesta. And I think really Center for American Progress is just a money laundering for donations, basically. And somebody else called me and said it's Tony Podesta that's doing all the really nasty stuff with the child trafficking and the organ harvesting and stuff. And I would go along with that. I'd say that, and the weird art, the art dealership thing, that's just a cover to process the money. I buy a piece of junky art from you for $200,000. It gets thrown in the trash heap afterward, but I get a new kidney out of the deal. So I think that rat line is pretty dissolved at this point. So I know that's a lot. Go back and look at Bola Huggies if you don't know what I'm talking about there. But Imran Awan's dad steals land from these 12 farmers. Rajiv Shah's there the next day after the dikes break to hand out those contracts. So the person handing out those contracts for the Pakistani flood, those benefactors, and I think DynCorp's going to be one of them to go in and establish security. So Steve Feinberg's going to be involved in this. And I'm looking at Steve Feinberg at DynCorp as creating the Christmas tree of benefice. I wouldn't be surprised if DynCorp is the key contractor for flying in with its planes and helicopters, flying in the rescue stuff, doing the coordinating the area off with the military perimeter, contracting all the medical supplies in and out, flying in and out. You might even have our friends, our red team from Haiti come in and find all the orphans. I think it's going to be Haiti all over again, or Pakistan earthquake all over again. So I know that's a long one, but the researchers out there know what I'm talking about, and we'll move on from there.